Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to be reboxing Agamonia. So this is the second printing of Agamonia. They changed a few things, but if you backed either just the new content or the second edition, you did get a small amount of new things to add in. So I'm going to show you where those ended up. This is also the Standee's version. The base game comes as a Standee's version. You can purchase the miniatures for all of the the allies and the enemies and things like that. That comes in its own giant separate box. So included in this is how I chose to kind of separate out all the Standees, because for now I'm perfectly happy with the Standee version of the game. All right off the bat, we have our storage reminder here. It's a nice pretty picture on this side. Somebody may be tempted to hang it up on their wall, but personally I am going to keep this with all of the other large maps here sitting flat on top of everything. So those are sitting on top, and then over here we have the kind of board map that's double-sided, opens up for the city version stuff. And then a lot of the, again, just additional content like these two little boards here, which don't really have a place to go. They just have kind of been spread out here. This is one of the new things that comes. This is a booklet of rules covering the new stuff, and your little hero pad. So all this stuff kind of fit adjacent to the rule book. So basically flat stuff here on top. Then we've got the three kind of spiral bound books alternating, spiral over here, spiral over here, spiral over there. Pretty straightforward. All right. And all of that was exactly how they told you to do it in the back of that picture. So basically you have this one token tray sitting up here, and then this gap is where all the books fill in. This token tray is pretty self-explanatory. They tell you in that setup manual what to put in here, and I didn't change anything from the way they explained you to do that. I feel like there's a lot of room, in these spots, and these tokens are kind of odd. I've yet to come across a situation where I've needed like multiple of these. So, but I'm sure there will be. But this seems like an exorbitant amount of space for just those circle, square, triangle, and cross tokens. Anyways, so here is something you'll notice. This is the only miniatures that come with the base game, but the three heroes that I am playing as currently in my campaign are not in here. I don't store them. I found that they store quite nicely in your character tuck box or storage box, so we'll get to those here in a second. I also have the extra dice set, which gives you more blue and more red dice. Those do not fit in there all by themselves, but if you give each individual hero their own dice, you're doing pretty good. You can actually see that originally I had stuck some over here, and I meant to pull these back over because I got all but 4 in basically. But there you go. Now they all fit because some of them are in the character boxes. So this is one of the trays that has lots of extra room, in my opinion. They tell you to throw some stuff in here, but they also tell you to put item cards in these two slots here. They're like the mini Euro size cards. But with one of the new things they sent you was dividers. And I'll show you those dividers here in a minute. So to me, it doesn't seem necessary to keep the item cards in here and separated in there when I have dividers, because the dividers don't fit in here. So what I did was spread out, some of these, they call them scenario specific tokens, to make room for just some of my larger tokens. So there's things like larger monsters in here. There's this door that comes with the new stuff. And then there's like this red crystal and a boat. So this is just kind of my larger miniatures. You'll notice that some of them are already on Standees. or little plastic stands. They give you a ton of plastic stands, but not quite enough to put everything in a stand. And the new stuff doesn't come with stands. What I have here, these are all new things. These are allies and henchmen miniatures, or not miniatures, sorry, standees, which I guess they did not have in the original version, so they added them in the new stuff. So a lot of the new stuff, it was dropped into this tray because I took out the item cards, but they have a perfectly good spot here that we'll see here in a moment. And then over here is the standees, which, you know, this is kind of a hodgepodge. It's not super well organized. It does take you a hot minute to find what you're looking for if those creatures are at the bottom, but these aren't too deep. You'll see here's an example of some of the ones that didn't get a standee, but most everything is already on a plastic standee. If it's not, I'll just swap one out, but it's not like I'm going to have to go searching for my plastic standees, pop them off, risk like tearing them or anything like that. So there you go. That's all the rest of them minus what you saw in that other one. All right. So now we're starting to see the card boxes that hold all the cards, which is most of the weight of this box is in these two things right here. These are pretty self-explanatory. This is the money. If you actually look and see, the shape of each coin is designated into the tray, molded into the tray, so it just tells you where to put everything. Same thing with the items. The items have the same shape as the money. So this is actually flip-flop here, but small circle, triangle, triangle. What is this? Pentagon, pentagon, hexagon, hexagon, and large circles, large circles. So those are pretty self-explanatory. Now this one here with the purple top, I haven't quite figured out why it has a purple top. It's kind of called like the archive tray. There's very few stuff in here. It's actually quite empty. These are like the pets. If you have a certain hero, you might end up with some pets, and these are hero-specific tokens that we'll just pull out if I need them, and I'll store them in my hero tray. Otherwise, you're looking at some more slots here if you wanted to spread some more of the standees. All right, so now we get into our hero trays. This is where things get to be slightly different than what the pamphlet suggests you do. They actually suggest you put the hero trays just like this, but on the very bottom. But I was thinking, well, I'm always going to be pulling out the hero trays, and the stuff that I have on the bottom, I don't always need. And one of them I'm not going to pull out for the entirety of the campaign. So I decided, why not put those on the bottom? So there's just less stuff I have to pull out of the box. But before we get to that, let me just show you. These are actually really nice hero trays here. They hold a lot of stuff. So you have your chips here, your stamina chips. Each character has, you know, this number in. These are like items that I picked up, the little crystals that I picked up during the scenarios. So that's just a random thing there. Their little book that each character has with some character-specific storyline stuff fits in there. If you have any, most of the cards in this game are these large tear-out size cards. And so if you ever have to save any between the scenario, there's a spot for really only one if it's sleeved, but 2 or 3 if they're unsleeved right here. Also, if you start, once you start gaining levels up, they're going to go here. Item-specific cards will go right here. Actually, I don't know why my dice are here. This is like what I think is the dice spot. Here's your little action token thing, but also your miniatures. This seems like a really perfect slot for miniatures. The Thorax miniature actually fits into this slot perfectly. I can show it to you in a second. But this holds a lot of stuff, so don't be afraid to, if you're struggling to find a spot for everything, go ahead and throw some stuff. Pick your characters, choose who you're going to be, and throw some stuff into these hero trays, because they actually hold a good amount of stuff and allows you to spread things out. Let me just show you how perfectly Thorax fits in here, which is why I'm thinking this must be a spot for the miniatures. Take off his little book, but look at that. It's like with his little staff, it's just, you know, fits in there perfectly. So you could always throw them back in. back in their hero tray. They have a specific spot in there, but for right now, until I need that slot for something else, the miniatures are hanging out right there. So as I mentioned before, when I sit down to play a game, I'm going to be pulling these out, but the stuff at the bottom here, I'm not necessarily going to need. So this is a 4th hero tray. I'm only playing 3 heroes at a time. So this one's just empty, but this is the bottom of the box. This contains all of my extra stamina chips. It contains all the hero boards that of heroes I'm not using, all the books of heroes I'm not using. This is the vitality discs. I'm going to need these when I upgrade, but not otherwise. And these are my actions that I'm going to unlock, and they're going to slot in here. And what I did was took the 3 characters that I'm playing as. If you have a 4th, you stick it up there. But that way, I don't even ever have to open this tray. This is exactly the same thing as this. I guess maybe they're thinking single character expansion in the future, who knows? But I don't even need to open up what's beneath this. So I've stuck everything at the bottom that I don't necessarily need to pull out. This stuff could just stay in between scenarios. Just real quick, these are, again, very self-explanatory. This is the tarot size cards. This is the majority of the game right here. And you can see that I've only opened the first pack, and so all the rest of these are just scenarios going up in number. And so to keep from spoilers or to keep from them getting mixed up, I'm just going to open them as I get to them, and then I will organize them from there. But that's the dividers. Those are probably the best part of the new stuff. And then this is a much lighter box because it contains much less cards, and the cards aren't nearly as big, but they still stuck them in the same size box, which is fine. But here you can see items 1 through 25, 26 to 50, and this is like everything in front of this divider is what they told you to put in that one slot, and everything in this divider is put in the other slot, and then put the rest in here. Well, I'm gonna have to be digging into this anyways. Then there's some regular size cards right here, but then this is all empty. So again, this foam block came actually, I think, in here, and there was some cards in here. But again, this is more space that you could utilize. This is actually a very light tray on this side. So anyways, there you go. That is how I've decided to store away my Standee version of Agemonia, including the new content, which again was really just a little bit of cardboard, but also the dividers, the card dividers, which have been very handy. And so like right here, you can see I put the 4th one here so that if I need to grab this, I can. If I need to grab this, I can grab it out from under the 4th one. But this one and what's underneath here, I should not need for the remainder of the campaign as I'm playing with these 3 characters. So I don't think it changes the level of anything. Everything still comes out to be nice and level with the top of the box. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be putting things away. Everything does kind of go in here. Is it going like this? No, it goes like this. That's right. Boom, boom, boom. Bing, boom. Oh no, this one. I don't think that makes a difference either. I think these 2 are the same size. This is the big one, the little token tray that's half empty, sits up here because it's the skinniest. And then we have some alternating. Put you in first. Put you in like this. Push this all over to the side. Put that there. So now they're not sticking up oddly. And then yeah, just kind of organizing the remainder of the flat stuff in here as best as possible, spreading out things that stick up. So we'll put this here. We'll put this here. We'll put this guy under there. We'll put those guys right there. So I've kind of spread out my flat stuff. Last 2 things are the cardboard map of the larger area, and then the city, And then last but not least, I stuck these, dropped them in the lid, now I can't get them out, are these large map sheets that are basically the size of the box, but lay flat on top. And there you go. We are good to go. So that is Agamonia 2nd edition reboxed. If you have any questions, let me know. Everything that I just showed you comes in the box, comes with the core game, the base game, so no added components or anything like that needed. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day.